Afternoon and welcome to our virtual Lunch and Learn focusing on the impact of workforce development in our community. I'm Raylan Cox, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for United Way of the Capital Region. Joining us virtually today are members of our Women's Leadership Network, Bridges Society, Link Group, and Women of Tocqueville. For those of you who are new to us, our Women's Leadership Network is an alliance of dynamic women committed to making positive changes in our community through philanthropy and volunteerism. Our Bridges Society is a diverse group of local leaders bonded by the belief in community change. Through giving, networking, and volunteering, Bridges members make a difference. Our Link Group includes donors aged 22 to 30 who engage our community through networking and volunteering. Our Women of Tocqueville include women donating $10,000 or more annually to our United Way. These women also make a positive impact through their volunteerism and engagement in our work. I'd like to also thank our sponsors for making today's event possible. Our WLN sponsors at the platinum level, the United Way Foundation of the Capital Region, gold, Highmark Blue Shield and Penn State Health, silver, Brown, Schultz, Sheridan and Fritz, the Hershey Company, KPMG, LLP, and Penn National Insurance. Our Bridges Society sponsors at the gold level, the United Way Foundation of the Capital Region, silver, Capital Blue Cross and Penn National Insurance, and our bronze sponsor is KPMG LLP. Our link sponsors include at the gold level, the United Way Foundation of the Capital Region, bronze, Boyer and Ritter LLC, and KPMG LLP. At the builders level, Penn National Insurance. I'd also like to thank today's technology sponsor, JP Lilly AV. The format for today is conversational and we want to hear from you. So please submit your questions. Any questions that we do not get to during today's program, we will follow up with the correct answer with you. Today, we will learn how United Way and our community partners are making a difference through workforce development. First, let's learn a little bit more about the program through this brief video.
I think employers don't always recognize the barriers that keep workers from being successful in the workplace. If you're a single mom with 3 kids, how are you going to afford childcare? If you live in a rural community and you don't have an automobile, how are you going to commute to work? We have somebody that we're working with in our partnership now that I think represents the Road to Success participants so well because she's got passion and she's got energy and she's willing to do whatever it takes to become successful.
My name is Majuma Nakaiza. I do take care of residents and do some activities that can make them happy and feel free in country meadows.
Juma is someone who's a very caring and humble individual. It's not about her, it's about everyone else around her, including her children that she supports and our residents who she loves very dearly. The Road to Success is allowing Juma to get her certified nursing assistant degree at no cost to her, and they're also helping her with budgeting classes and transportation so that she can get to and from work in between her classes.
I want to become a CNA because of the skills I'm taking right now, and I want to add on my income. The Road to Success has helped me so much. I'm just so thankful for United Way.
Our job as a community of faith is to help people to believe in themselves so that they can build a better life. And we are so grateful to be part of the United Way and the Road to Success partnership because a little bit of success builds confidence. A little more success builds a better life.
Now let's meet today's guests. I'd like to introduce our panel member and ask them each to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their work in relation to Road to Success. Eric, let's start with you first.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to be a part of this symposium and just talk about something that I'm super passionate about. I serve as the executive director of Hope Ministries. I'm a social worker. I'm married. I've got 5 amazing kids. And one kind of interesting about me is I'm an award-winning ice cream maker. And one of the things I won an award for was my Nutella hazelnut crunch recipe. So, fun fact.
Yep. I don't know how I can top that, Eric, but good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stefanie McAuliffe, and I'm the Vice President of Community Impact at the United Way of the Capital Region. And I have the privilege of overseeing the programs of the United Way that focus on basic needs, access to health care, early education, and what you'll be hearing more about today, and that is workforce development. So it's really great to be here with all of you today.
And Alex?
Hey everyone, my name is Alex Kruger. I am the manager of the Road to Success Workforce Development Program for the United Way of the Capital Region. Essentially, my role is to help the case managers, employer liaisons, participants, and employers all come together to find that ever-elusive answer to how to make an individual and help an individual become self-sufficient. So truly is an honor to be here and very excited to hear some of your questions.
Thank you all. Stefanie, our first question is for you. Can you provide an overview of the program from the United Way perspective?
Absolutely. Thanks, Raylyn. We've all been hearing and reading about how the cost of housing, healthcare, childcare, transportation, and other basic needs, and those costs are surpassing the increase in the income of working families in our country. And this is having a great impact on our low-income families who really so often are living paycheck to paycheck. They're often one emergency expense, such as a car repair or a leaky roof, one expense away from being in financial crisis. Through our Road to Success program, we want to help working families, and we want to help them move from living paycheck to paycheck to making a livable wage. We want families to be able to save a little bit each paycheck so that they're prepared for those unexpected expenses. We want families to move from a budget where they're just surviving to a budget where they can actually feel some stability and save a little. Also, we want to work with employers in our region to help them hire and retain employees with the appropriate job skills and with the potential to move up in the company so that they become invested not only in themselves, but in the company. And this not only helps our program participants and the employers in our region, but it helps our economy and it helps our community overall. And that's really what Road to Success is about. It's about preparing program participants for employment, finding them the right job for the skill sets that they have, and setting them on a path where there's upward mobility and there's advancement opportunities so that they are able to meet the needs, the basic needs of their families. That they can get a raise, they can save a little money, and not only get ahead of the game, but also stay ahead of the game.
Stefanie, much of the work of United Way focuses on families considered to be ALICE or living in the ALICE population. For those who are joining us today who might not be familiar with the term, can you tell us a little more?
Absolutely. So ALICE is a term that's used by the United Way, and it's an acronym. So ALICE, it's ALICE, ALICE, and ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained Employed. It's also known, ALICE is known as for working families. And in Pennsylvania, about 39% of the population qualifies as ALICE. And of that 39%, 12% are living below the federal poverty level, which means like in 2018, that was $25,100. That's a family making $25,100 for a family of 4. So 12% were living below that poverty level. 27% earn above that federal poverty level, but they still don't make enough to afford household necessities. In other words, they're still living paycheck to paycheck. the number of ALICE households is actually increasing in Pennsylvania. And as a result of those rising costs that I just talked about for those basic needs, and we're having stagnant wages. And the percent of ALICE households, it rose from in 2007 being about 34% to 39% in 2018. Even a small drop in wages or small drop in hours worked or one of those unexpected emergency expenses we talked about, they can destabilize ALICE. But on the flip side, just a small increase in wages or a decrease in rent or car payment can push families out over that ALICE threshold so they feel a little bit more stable. And ALICE often works as in roles like a cashier, nursing assistants, childcare workers, and servers in the hospitality industry. And as people on this call and in this meeting know, these types of jobs, they're vital to keeping Pennsylvania's economy running smoothly. But sometimes they don't provide adequate wages to cover those basic needs we've been talking about, like housing, childcare, food, or transportation. I invite all of you to go to the United Way of Pennsylvania's website to learn more about ALICE. I just threw a lot of statistics at you. There's a lot more out there. And if you go out to the website, you can see how each counties in Pennsylvania specifically, how each one is impacted by ALICE. The road to success is focused on moving people out of poverty and moving ALICE to a livable, sustainable wage so they can become self-sufficient. And really what we all want, we want them to be able to start to meet their family's very basic needs.
Thank you, Steph. I think the world of the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted all of us, but we're very interested to learn how specifically it has impacted our partner employers as well as those looking for employment.
Sure, no surprise to everybody with us today that COVID has just impacted everything. It's had quite an impact on the employers that we work with and certainly on our program participants and certainly their families. When we think about our employer partners that we work with, they represent industries in like healthcare, hospitality, and manufacturing. And people right now are reluctant to work in the healthcare industry because of the pandemic. And thank goodness our healthcare providers and workers are doing such a wonderful job. The hospitality industry they've had to lay people off, and manufacturers are struggling to keep positions filled. So as you recall, these are the industries that typically employ ALICE. Employers, they're looking for the right employees. They're looking to hire, but not only to hire, but also to retain the right employees. So we work very closely with our employer partners to determine what their employment needs are. And we find potential employees and we work with that person to make sure that they're employment ready. And employment ready, we mean we'll help them get the job training for jobs anywhere from certified nursing assistants, CNAs, to training to be a forklift operator. Through Road to Success, program participants can receive soft skills training, assistance with transportation, and even childcare subsidies if that's needed. And the beauty is our case managers, they walk alongside of our program participants to give them support and the resources that they need to find employment and really to stay employed. So retention is a big part of our goals for Road to Success, which you'll hear more about. We want to identify our employer partners' needs, and we want to work with our program participants to make sure that it's a good fit. And lastly, working families are families that the Road to Success has been designed to help. We want these families to get the training they need, to get the jobs that they want, that will help them not only meet their family's basic needs, but to be able to save for those unexpected expenses. And I know that sounds like a big order, but you're going to hear from Alex and Eric. And with Alex's leadership as the manager of Road to Success, and with great nonprofit leaders in our community like Eric at Hope Ministries, and the community support from people like all of you joining us today and the organizations that you represent, we use that collective impact model so we can help these low-income working families, and we can help ALICE achieve the self-sufficiency that we know that they want, and we certainly know that they all deserve.
Thank you, Stephanie. Moving on to Alex, we understand that the Road to Success program requires United Way to have a very strong relationship with local case managers. Can you tell us a little bit more about how this partnership works?
Sure, Raylan, thank you. In the Road to Success, we are actually partnered up with 6 different nonprofit agencies that have case management abilities that they utilize for the Road to Success. So that is New Hope Ministries, as well as Salvation Army, Goodwill, Tri-County OIC, the Perry County Literacy Council, Salvation Army, and Family Promise of PA. Now, the way that we work with these case managers is we make sure to have a fully collaborative opportunity for everyone. So that means if one organization is offering soft skill classes that maybe another organization does not, they can share their participants to make sure that no matter what, if a participant is in the Road to Success, they have the full palette of available opportunities to them. The United Way has also worked with the case managers to secure up some budgeting counseling help, whether that's through Felco or even Members First. We're always looking into different ways that we can find the same information, but find an easier way to get that information through to the people. On top of that, we work a lot with structure and organizing the program. One of the biggest pieces of structure and organization to come out in the last 2 years is something I'm very proud of, called the Roadmap to Success. The idea of the Roadmap to Success is once an individual is employed, they take that Roadmap to Success and they plot out the next 3, 6, 9, and 12 months on the job, so that they know what skills they need to acquire, who they should be working with, so that they can start working up the ranks within their employer to reach that stability level. We also have weekly meetings where we go over anything new that any of our organizations might be having, as well as to share ideas and best practices and get an idea of whom I can reach out to try and bolster our program. We added Family Promise as a case management agency, and one of the reasons that they were very enticing was because we had not yet established a firm foothold in the shelter insecurity and the homelessness population. We didn't really have too much infrastructure really to help with that, but that's what Family Promise does best, is they work with that. So by bringing them into the fold, that's just another group and another asset that we can have to help our individuals. And on top of that, it's very beneficial that the United Way works very hard to learn about our employers' needs, what they expect out of their employees, and to have an understanding of what it is that they're looking for from their people. So we share that information with the case manager. So as they're coaching and going over soft skills with participants, they can do that with a specific mindset of what it is that these partner employers are looking for. And lastly, one of the simplest ways that we work with case managers is we're always finding new and innovative ways to help out in the area of both transportation and childcare, as well as making sure that we always have all of the options available to help in those 2 arenas.
Alex, we've heard many times the importance of having structures to overcome barriers to employment and things that can derail an individual from maybe gaining employment or remaining employed. For those of you just learning, maybe you could speak to some of those barriers and what they are and how we help.
Absolutely. And I think it, in a lot of ways, is important to look at 2 different timelines for these barriers. So there's the normal world barriers, which have always existed and still do. And then there's also the pandemic barriers, which I'll get into in a moment. But in the normal everyday life, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, during pandemic, transportation and childcare are 2 of the most tangible barriers that individuals come up against that keep them from gainful employment. Someone can have all the soft skills and all the technical and all the educational knowledge in the world, but if they don't have a way to get to and from work, they're not going to be successful and they're not going to work out. And the same goes for childcare. An individual can be, one of the best employees possible, but if something were to change in their life and they no longer had access to affordable childcare, they're not going to be able to stay with the employer as long as they would like to. So transportation and childcare are definitely 2 of the biggest employment and pre-employment barriers. But also, in part with that is having an at-home support network. So having those individuals that you can rely on, that you can count on to help when the transportation or the childcare goes down. Those are definitely barriers that can keep an individual from being successful. And above all, basic soft skills. So, understanding how to communicate in the workplace, understanding how to properly call off, how to respond to an interview request, how to let an employer know if something has come up and is being taken you away from an obligation that you agreed to. Understanding that communication is key and to always inform people. So basic soft skills have always been a barrier that some folks have that keep them from employment. But then we started looking at the pandemic world, and on top of those three things that we've already mentioned, there are a lot more barriers that are present. So as everyone on this call right now knows, technology has become a massive part of how we have all learned to adapt and transition during various stay-at-home orders or quarantines and things like that. And for a lot of us, because we're on this call, it's not as much of an issue as it could be. But there are plenty of individuals that internet is not exactly a guarantee, nor is a high-speed phone or computer for them to interact. So a lot of times access to the computers and the internet can be problematic. And while that's still an issue in the normal pre-COVID world, what makes it more difficult now is a lot of the buildings and opportunities that offer computers and internet access haven't been as open as they had been previously, whether that's libraries or even the career links in the local area. Those have been obviously forced to shut down for periods of time, taking away that opportunity for individuals. Another piece that is kind of missing is right now, face-to-face mock interviews and soft skills classes really help the case manager and the participant have a really good understanding of what is needed to overcome, whether it's those verbal mannerisms, those physical mannerisms, and really investigating and seeing how an individual interacts with all those opportunities. It's a lot harder to get a really good feel for that in a virtual world and in a virtual situation. And most of our employers, some of our employers, I should say, have actually had to put on hiring freezes or furlough employees or even let some employees go because, if it's the hospitality industry and it's hotel management and there's a travel ban, there aren't a whole lot of folks that are going to be coming in and utilizing those services, so there isn't that much need for hospitality or cleaning services or things like that. So there have been fewer job opportunities in specified fields during the height of the pandemic. And lastly, there are even fewer opportunities for job and life training, whether that's certified nursing assistant or CNA classes, whether that's driving classes themselves to get an individual a license so that someday they could hopefully earn a car and become self-sufficient for transportation. So there are a lot of barriers that a lot of individuals in the program are facing that, some that are as lucky as you and I, we don't necessarily take into account. But when you really start to think about all the little pieces that go into making someone successful, you realize there are so many opportunities for there to be cracks that need to then be filled. And that's really what the Road to Success is here to do, is it's to help fill those cracks to complete the picture.
Thank you, Alex. Moving on to a discussion with Eric. Eric, earlier in the video that we saw, we met Juma, a participant of Road to Success. Can you tell us a little bit more about your work, kind of on that firsthand perspective, when it comes to Road to Success?
Yeah, Road to Success has been such a neat partnership for our organization to be a part of. And I don't know if the rest of you had trouble hearing audio during Juma's video. I couldn't hear it, unfortunately, but I got to see her face. And Juma is one of our most successful workforce participants who was able to get training as a nursing assistant and has been successful for now a couple-year period at maintaining employment. She's really increased her housing security and transportation security and been thriving in just about every area that we want her to, and continues to use the support of our caseworkers, and I'm hoping that she's thinking about a nursing degree at some point in the future. So we're very proud of her. She represents one of just hundreds of people the last several years that Road to Success has been in existence who have been helped with job training programs. I began working with the United Way of Capital Region probably 10 years ago with a little experiment called Prosperity Center. And we thought if we could teach budgeting skills and help people with employment and, start supplying extra skills and opportunities for success, that we would see an increase in stability. And we really hit on some things that worked. And, we were on GED classes and budget classes and job training. And when the United Way stepped into a partnership, with the Road to Success, we were able to take what had been a few folks, at a time getting help, to dozens and even hundreds of folk a year who are being able to have the benefits of some wraparound services. And I think the other thing that was really exciting, and I was able to join the steering committee for the Road to Success partnership, was that we weren't just looking at immediate outcomes, we were looking at long-term outcomes for our participants. And that meant pathways for long-term employment. And I'm saying, okay, now that we've got an entry-level job, what's it going to take to be able to get an advanced position or advanced training? And those are the things that are going to mean long-term employment stability and economic security for the family that we're helping. My own background was I spent a dozen years before I came to New Hope working in a residential program for at-risk teens. And we're dealing with some of the same issues as we were trying to help folks, kids who have been institutionalized or in the foster care system transition to adulthood, of making sure that they had education and economic support and life skills and employment. And, I took all of those pieces and said, when I came to New Hope 14 years ago as their director, I said, we do such a phenomenal job with basic needs, and we can pay bills and help with food and, people through crisis situations. But if nothing changes, they're going to be involved. They're just going to be set up for the next crisis, and then the next crisis, and the next crisis. And so with the United Way's help, we've spent, like I said, the last 10 years developing really evidence-based programs and proven, approaches to be able to help families. And even when, the car breaks down or the life crisis happens, there's enough support in that basic needs program to be able to wrap that person in care and address that, to be able to keep them on path. And we're excited to see where we go, in the next 10 years of this project. But I think that these are the types of solutions that are really going to be transformative for our community. And, everything changed with the pandemic. For the first couple of months, all we could do was focus on making sure that emergency food was happening. And the last, 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, it's been all about helping people not lose their housing. But in the midst of this, we've really been focusing hard on helping people not just maintain employment, but find new employment. And as we come out of it and we're going to see a restart to our economy, there's going to be a lot of folks who are economically damaged by the pandemic who are going to need help with, new employment, new job training, new support. And I really see that's the future of Road to Success, at least over the next year, is getting those folks back into the workforce and being successful.
Thank you, Eric. I've had the pleasure of meeting Juma, and it really brings a smile to my face to hear she's going to pursue her nursing degree. She's such a dedicated, hard worker, and ambitious woman, a real a stellar tribute to the impact that Road to Success can have on an individual's life. From a perspective of seeking employment, Eric, how has that pathway been interrupted or changed because of the COVID pandemic?
I would have expected that for the most part that there would have been fewer jobs available, but many of our employer partners that we work with actually have a lot of job openings right now. And I know Alex made a point of talking the hospitality industry is being hit really hard. Every healthcare provider that I talk to is short workers, and they have a desperate need. Truck drivers and warehouse workers and logistics folks, and so there are great opportunities for folks to enter the workforce right now. But as Alex said so well, there's so many barriers. Imagine that you have a health compromised member of your household. Should you really be going out in the community right now? What if your daycare is closed down? What if your kids are now in a virtual school environment and they require year-round the clock presence to be able to accomplish, their educational needs. And so we're finding folks who may want to work, but they just can't right now. And we've seen our daycare providers, which are, such an incredible support for the isALICE and the folks that we're serving, that have had to, capacity. I guess my fear long term is that a lot of the service industry jobs that have disappeared because of COVID, that those businesses may not survive, and that may mean some extra hardship for entire work sectors. And I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope that there's going to be enough support for them to get through the pandemic and to be able to get back, and be able to rehire their staff. But it's been real hard for a lot of people over the last year.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. In fact, I believe we have a video from one of your participants who has shared her pathway to how she's found employment during the COVID pandemic through the help of New Hope Ministries and Road to Success.
My name is Rose, and New Hope Ministries has helped me a lot during the beginning of COVID. When we moved down here, I had a job offer at a fast food restaurant, and when the state shut down, they rescinded my offer, and I was jobless. They helped me pay my rent when I couldn't, and then they put me into the Road to Success program. Doing that, I am getting my GED, and I'm also becoming a CNA. The Road to Success program has also helped me get my little kids into daycare, so I was able to find a part-time job until I became a CNA, where I could find a good paying job. New Hope Ministries and the Road to Success program has done so much for my family, and I don't know where I would be without them right now.
Thank you. Alex, our next question is for you. The program was launched in 2017. Can you shed some light on how Road to Success has grown and expanded?
Sure. Well, as you said, the program was launched in 2017. And then while it was finding its footing and really understanding its structure, it went up to 4 employers and 4 participants in 2019. And as you can see with the numbers on your screen, 2 years later, we are now at 254 individuals in the program, with 137 of those individuals employed, 89 individuals employed with employer partners, and we are actually up to 24 partner employers as of today. And our program is showing 69% retention rate for our participants placed with our employer partners. So the Road to Success has been growing in every direction. Back in 2017 to 2019, the idea was if we could just have that employer liaison piece through the South Central Pennsylvania Workforce Investment Board, that would be enough. But as we learned that it wasn't just soft skills and technical skills that was holding individuals back, it was also true proper case management. That's when in 2019 we added 5 case management organizations, including New Hope Ministries, and then just this year expanded to a 6th case management agency, which would give us then 3 in Dauphin County, 2 in Cumberland County, and 1 in Perry County. So really across the board, we have found new ways to grow, and the nice thing about this program is there really isn't a max at this point. If we have enough, in the budget to take care of everyone, that's always going to be my goal. And so far, we have seen some really, really wonderful returns these past 2 years.
Thank you, Alex. My next question is for Stefanie, and we understand that Road to Success is one of 3 community pilot projects led by United Way of the Capital Region, and this is in addition to our support of basic needs services. But how do these all work together?
So I think that's a great question, Raylyn, because that's really what we work to do here, is to make sure that all of the programs that we offer are integrated. When we talk about ALICE, we're talking about the working families. And in all of our programs, we want to engage families, not just the program participants. And more often than not, families are struggling, and I know we've alluded to this, families are struggling with more than just one issue. If they're uninsured or they need help navigating the healthcare system, we engage the community health workers in our Contact to Care program. If they have preschool age children who are getting ready for school and prepared for kindergarten, we connect them with our education liaisons and our Ready for School and Ready to Succeed program. Our case managers, our education liaisons, and our community health workers often get to know families. That's really why they're in the roles that they're in, because they do form those relationships with families, get to know them, they gain trust, and often they identify other opportunities to help the family. And once we have a family engaged, and I think Eric said it, once we have a family engaged in our programs, we view this as an opportunity to connect them to resources and to surround them with the resources that they need. And if the family needs resources outside of our programs, we connect them with the appropriate agency in the community, like a New Hope Ministry or any of our other case management agencies. It's all about surrounding those families with the services they need so they can start to move forward. Because oftentimes these families and our program participants are so overwhelmed with the complex challenges that they're facing, they just need someone to help them get connected. Our approach to helping any family is very purposeful. And again, our collective impact approach is about working together internally so that we're integrating any of the services that we offer through our programs, but also working with our partners in the community. As anybody that's on this call today or with us today knows, no one agency can do it alone. And really to truly help working families and really lift them up, we all need to stay connected with one another. We need to share stories like Jama's story, because I think we find inspiration. She's a wonderful example to others. We need to share stories like that. And we all need to continue to share resources with one another. And bottom line, we all need to continue to work together to make sure that we are again surrounding our families and getting them what they need and meeting as many needs as we can collectively.
Steph, how does United Way reach out to potential participants, or if someone is seeing this and knows of someone who might be interested in learning more about the program? How could they go about finding out more information?
Well, our website is a great resource first. And with I'll use our Ready for School program, we have Facebook pages, and our education liaisons have done an outstanding job in continuing to provide workshops to our families. Our programs are centered around being with our program participants and our families in the communities. It's about face-to-face relationship building. And since we haven't been able to do that, they have developed Facebook pages and they provided workshops on Facebook. In addition to that, they arranged safe opportunities to get packages. And often some of you were probably involved with putting some of these packages together for our program participants. So thank you to those that have volunteered their time to get these packages that go home to the families, getting these packages together. And so go out on Facebook, visit our website and see what we're up to. I know all of our case managers, our Road to Success program has Facebook pages as well. You can see what the case managers are up to and all of the different services and resources they're offering. And also our community health workers, where are they? What are they doing? What type of information, education are they providing on their Facebook pages? And certainly I always welcome, and I know Alex, any of our managers, always welcome a phone call from any of our partners and our friends in the community. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. Our case managers, our partners that work with us in this, and folks like New Hope Ministries and Eric and his team, they're great resources. And 211 is always a great resource. If you know someone in the community that needs something, PA 211 is a great resource. But please, if you have someone, if you know of someone that can use any of our services, please feel free to give any of us a call. We're happy to make that connection for you.
Thank you, Stefanie. My next question is for Eric. What changes do you see in the lives of participants who go through this program?
Love that question, and that's really what it's all about. I can use the two examples videos we got to see today. You don't know how stressful it is for somebody not to be able to put food on their table for their kids, to not know if they're going to be able to keep their housing, to not be able to get to work because your car's broken down and there's no funds. It is a constant, experience of stress and terror and fear, and it's awful. And many of us have been there at some point in our lives, and they know that experience. And to be able to see somebody who is content, who's happy, who has a positive outlook and really believes that they can do it, those are the most immediate changes. Is just to see somebody whose life is at peace, somebody whose needs are met, somebody who can not be living with their brother, and sister-in-law, and get their own place, and to be able to have the happiness of being able to maintain their own household. And so we see emotional success, we see economic success, we see a sense of accomplishment. And one of the neat things is basic service provider, and someone New Hope, we try to link people with community resources, is they start consuming less emergency services because they have increased self-sufficiency, and that's super exciting. And it's a process, and I'm not against food stamps. I'm not against food pantries. I'm not against any sort of services that will give people the support that they need. But to see them transition from I'm constantly consuming, emergency services to I can take care of many or most of my needs on my own, and I've got a plan for the future. That's probably one of the most thrilling things, that we see, is somebody who says, yep, won't be coming by for the food pantry any longer, don't need it, appreciate the help. And even sometimes to see them bring somebody back from the community who's in the same situation that they were in, and say, you need to talk to these folks at New Hope in the Road to Success program. They changed my life, and they can change your life too. That's the greatest compliment they could give.
It is. Thank you very much, Eric, for that very human perspective, which is just an important side of all of the work that we do. My next question is for Alex. Alex, if you could very briefly kind of walk us through the process of when someone comes into the Road to Success program and what that ultimate goal looks like.
Absolutely. So the process is one of those structural pieces that we've worked on a lot over the last 2 years. Essentially, an individual is referred to a case manager that is geographically as close to their home as possible. So if someone lives in Allison Hill, they would most likely go to Salvation Army or Tri-County OIC. Once they meet up with the case manager, there's an intake form and an application that kind of goes over all of the things that go into the Road to Success, the expectations of the case manager as well as the participant. After that, there's an assessment done to see what soft skills are going to be needed before a person is able to be considered employable. And they'll also meet with our employer liaison over at CareerLink to go through what's called the focus testing, which is provided to us by Central Penn College. The focus testing is very nice in that it tests an individual's aptitude, but also their interest. I think anyone on this call can agree that success in business, yes, some of it is with what you're smart about, but also what are you passionate about? What's going to keep you waking up every morning wanting to go to work? So the nice thing about the focus test is it looks at both of those pieces. What can you do and what would you like to do? And tries to find the right match between those. So once an individual is linked up with the right career path and it goes on the interviews with the partner employer and is hired, then the next thing we do is we talk about those end goals. The number one overall most important goal is self-sufficiency. So we want an individual to truly be self-sufficient, to be able to provide for themselves and their family without relying on anyone else. There's a level of self-completedness that when you accomplish that really helps an individual's identity of self. But not just that, again, it helps an individual take care of themselves and their family. To do that, though, they need a fully formed tool belt of soft skills. So, that's not just interview skills. That's also how do you deal with interpersonal conflicts once you are actually at the job? It could be as simple as, how do you write out a proper email to someone to get a point across and to be strong without being condescending or rude. It could also be anything as simple as how to give a proper handshake, or understanding verbal cues in those situations and moments. We also want to make sure an individual has additional technical skills. So maybe they need some computing help, or they need some help with Microsoft Excel or Word, or some sort of program that they'll be using at their job. We want to help them with that. We want to help them with additional life skills, so driving, GED, ESL, any of those things that will help them not just in their career, but also in their life itself. And most importantly, the thing that I firmly believe is essential to achieving that self-sufficiency is an individual being on a career path forward and upward, and having a plan to get there, which is where that roadmap to success becomes so crucial. Because when we look at these partner employers, the one thing we're looking for is opportunities for advancement and opportunities to excel. And when we create and develop the relationship with the employers, we get to learn what is the inside secret. How does someone get from, hospitality at an assisted care facility to fully fledged nurse? And not just that, but what kind of things does the employer provide that will help them get there, whether that's tuition reimbursement, whether that's classes that they provide and pay for, whatever that case may be. So the true goal for participants by far is self-sufficiency.
Thank you, Alex. And my final question of the day is actually for all of you. Where would you like to see Road to Success in 5 years? Eric, let's start with you.
Oh boy, I've got so many good ideas, and I appreciate Stephanie and Alex for my enthusiasm sometimes. But I think that there's a couple of areas of need. One is we've got a great product, and we need the resources to be able to expand this. And so I have so appreciated the United Way's generosity. I wish they could quadruple their funding for this program. I believe that we have the capacity to win that many people jobs. And can you imagine changing 1,000 families' lives a year with employment and workforce development support? I mean, you talk about changing the community that we live in if we could do that. So that's piece number one. Piece number two is recognizing that we are carefully screening all of our workforce participants right now, see who has the most aptitude, the greatest motivation, the cleanest job history, and trying to get them into the best jobs. But I think there's a role for part-time work, for second chance employment. We've got folks with disabilities, we've got folks with family commitments, we've got folks who are formerly incarcerated, folks who may never have learned those soft skills that Alex has talked so much about, who need employment opportunities like training wheels on your kid's bicycle to be able to enter the workforce and start having success. And so that sub-living wage employment with support for a period of time so that they can achieve full self-sufficiency over the long term. I think that's a missing piece for us. And I'll go back to what Alex said, and I may be stealing his thunder, but we absolutely have to have solutions for transportation and childcare. There's too many high potential motivated folks who cannot get ahead right now. And those are areas that I think United Way is creating unique solutions, and we're going to do the most transformative work. Job training is great, but making sure that your kid's in a safe place so that you can go out and take advantage of it, that's going to be life-changing.
Thank you, Eric. Alex?
So in 5 years, if I were to look into my crystal ball and make a wish, I would say that I would like to see the Road to Success expand even more. So I'd like to see us go from 24 partner employers to 50. I'd like to see us go from 254 participants to maybe 1,000. I'd like to see us go from 6 different case management organizations to 10 to 15, whatever it takes to make sure that we're able to help the most individuals as efficiently and effectively as possible. One thing I want to be able to do is really expand to multiple organizations. That way, no one organization has to take on the brunt of the entire region's workforce development. One thing that we've absolutely learned in the road to success is there's a fine balance between quality and quantity. If you start to take on too much, at times that quality can dip. But if you have that right amount of individuals on the caseload and individuals that you're working with and really giving that proper case management to, you will absolutely be successful. And the participants that look to you for that guidance and for that tutelage and for that road to success will be successful too. So I think to summarize all of that, I would say thoughtful, proper expansion would be my goal in the next 5 years. I'd love to see this thing, from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia with stops everywhere in between.
Thank you. Alex and Stefanie, you have the final word.
Sure. Two things come to mind. One is 5 years from now, I would like to see Juma and others that are in our program right now, for them to have 5 years of employment, and for them to take that retention rate that we're talking about and knock it out of the park. I'd like them to be our best examples. I'd like them to be our spokespeople, so that it's them you're having on panels like this. They're the ones that are telling the story, because who understands that journey better but those that have been on it? So that is what I would love to see 5 years from now from the participants' perspective. And second, briefly, it's just that systems perspective on development and just having those job training opportunities, because we know that people want to work. We know that people want to support their families, and they want to be able to pay for those basic needs and to be self-sufficient. Sometimes they just need to know what am I capable of, and to have that system where there's many opportunities for job training, and for them to be able to get those jobs that they actually, much like the panel here, we have passion, right, for the work that we do. I wish that for all of our program participants as well, is for them to be in roles where they really can feel a passion and feel like they want to be there for a very, very long time. It benefits the participant, and it certainly benefits our employers as well.
Thank you, panel. I look forward to the next 5 years for Road to Success. Thank you, Stefanie, Eric, and Alex for joining us today, and thank you, our donors and our supporters, for helping to make Road to Success and all of our work possible. We simply could not make a difference in our community without all of you. Finally, if you're watching today and you're interested in joining one of our affinity groups, we will be following up after this event to share some more information. I'd like to thank you for making time out of your schedule today, and we wish you a great day. Thanks for joining us.